Your energy is very haunting. It is. It's elusive. It's hard to pin down. It feels very much like you're somehow emotionally unavailable presenting, but also somehow deeply emotional and sensitive. And it's interesting because I feel like this is sort of a self protective thing that you've developed over time. I feel like perhaps in your upbringing or as a child, like you were quite emotionally sensitive and maybe like shamed for it or like forced to kind of shut it down or like put emotions aside or not present as weak or sensitive. So you come through with this sort of like, I don't want to say tough exterior because it's not that way. Like you're not trying to appear to be tough or strong. It's more just like you seem a bit unavailable or detached emotionally. You know, there's this sort of quiet energy about you where you tend to be more the observer, you tend to be more withdrawn. You might not approach people first, like, and that's not to say that you aren't friendly or warm because you absolutely are. I mean, you come through as the Empress and Queen of Pentacles, two of the most warm energies in tarot, but you come through as unapproachable and then you also don't really approach other people. And I feel like, again, that feels more like a self protective measure. It feels like something you've kind of adapted over time where you're just like, I have trust issues, you know, I do. But for whatever reason, it makes you come off as elusive or maybe, you know, hard to trust also. It's like you create the energy that you try to avoid. For whatever reason, it comes through that people have a hard time trusting you upon first meeting you. And that could also be they have a hard time trusting their own first impression of you. Like they know there's something more to you. There's, you know, energy that's not expressed. There's more to you, but it creates this tension between who you actually are and how you present. And it's actually kind of fascinating because when you get to know you, I mean, you're very warm, you're very nurturing, you're extremely giving, you're the kind of person who just remembers everything about everyone, and you're just a very grounded, stable presence, you know? There's just this, but the way that you present again is a little haunting, you know? People tend to fixate on you and sort of ruminate on you like long after interaction, you know, even just in passing. I feel like there's a lot of interactions that you have in passing where people see like, wow, there's something about them. There's something about them I can't quite like pin down or figure out. Your attraction is very much physical, but you tend to conceal. Like you might not be someone who wears revealing clothing. You might be a little more covered up. You know, you're not presenting as loud in any way, you know? And there's this sort of like, I don't know, almost like brooding energy about you. And it's like, I almost, for some reason, I'm thinking of Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, where like he is seen as sort of this like weirdly dark force and his style is kind of weird or whatever, but he's like actually like the sweetest, coolest, like kindest person ever. And people just have like a weird sort of fixation on him and feel kind of like haunted by him in some way. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but I think of Howl and like Howl's Moving Castle. Maybe that's significant for you in some way. But yeah, it's like your energy feels very concealed and like closed off. And again, like maybe a self-protective way, but there's also just this vibe of like it takes time to wake up that version of you that does exist, that is there, that is, you know, warm and nurturing and stable and open. But again, it's like it's hard to get there. So it's like you're beautiful but haunted. Like there's this spiritual, like ethereal energy that you have. It's very much Howl. Like it's very much Howl. Like emotionally very theatrical, but also like closed off and reserved. You know, I see like, you know, oversized sweaters and like, you know, tired eyes and just, you know, kind of a brooding energy, but there's something mystical and haunting about it in a way that we just can't stop thinking about. Like I could sit here for so long and try to dissect your energy, but that's the best thing I can compare it to.